Hey everybody, my name is Philip. Earlier this year I decided to start reading the Bible all the way through from front to end. I really wanted to just kind of share here a little video journal of where I'm at, what I'm reading, what I'm learning. Really the intention for me is just to learn more about the character of God and see what lessons that He might have for me so that I can live out in my life. So I hope these videos are beneficial to you in some way, and I hope you enjoy them. Hey everybody, we are starting a brand new book of the Bible, 2 Kings. We just finished up 1 Kings, now we're going to make the transition from 1 Kings to 2 Kings. We're going to start in chapter 2, and the ironic thing here is that chapter 2 talks about the transition between Elijah and Elisha. Now if you remember in 1 Kings, Elijah was a prophet of God. He did all kinds of cool stuff, performed miracles in the Lord's name, and his time on earth is coming to an end. So Elisha, his young Padawan, is staying with him as closely as he possibly can. The two of them are in Gilgal. Elijah says, "Elisha, please, stay here. I'm going to Bethel." Elisha says, "Nope, not going to happen that way, buddy." In verse 2, he says, "As surely as the Lord lives and you yourself live, I will never leave you." He's not ready to say goodbye to his mentor. So the two of them travel to Bethel together. While they're in Bethel, a group of prophets approach Elisha and they say, Didn't you know that Elijah is getting ready to be taken away?" He said, "I did know that, but be quiet. I'm not ready to hear it." So Elijah says to Elisha, "Hey, you stay here in Bethel. I'm going to go on to Jericho." Elisha again says, "Nuh-uh, I'm staying with you, buddy. As long as you're alive, I'm staying with you." So the two of them, they go to Jericho. Again, while they're in Jericho, a group of prophets come up to Elisha and they say, "Don't you know that your master Elijah is getting ready to leave?" And he says, "Yes, I know. I wish people would stop telling me this. I'm not ready to hear it." So again, Elijah goes to Elisha and he says, "Stay here in Jericho. I'm going to the Jordan River." Elisha says, "Not a chance, buddy. I'm going with you. I'm going to the Jordan River if that's where you're going." So the two of them, they go to the Jordan River, and a group of prophets is following behind them because they all know that Elijah's getting ready to leave this earth. They just don't know how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, and they want to be able to see it, witness it for themselves. So they get to the Jordan River. Elijah takes off his cloak. He rolls it up. He smacks the waters of the Jordan River. The water, it splits. They walk across on dry ground just as the Red Sea had split for Moses and the Israelites. The same thing happens here at the Jordan River. So when they get on the other side of the Jordan River, Elijah, knowing that he's getting ready to be taken away, he turns to Elisha and he says, "I'm getting ready to go. Is there anything that you need before I get out of here?" Elisha, he says, in verse 9, "Please let me inherit a double share of your spirit and become your successor." So he doesn't ask for wealth, money, fame, success. "I want double portion of whatever it is you got, and I want to be your successor." So Elijah, he says, "This is a difficult thing that you've asked for, but if you see me carried away into heaven, you'll be granted this. If not, you won't." So Elisha, he's like, "I'm sticking even closer to you now." And what happens next? Verse 11, "As they were walking along and talking, suddenly a chariot of fire appeared, drawn by horses of fire. It drove between the two men, separating them, and Elijah was carried away by a whirlwind into heaven." So Elisha was trying to stick close to Elijah, but his time had come, and this chariot separates the two of them. Elisha sees Elijah being taken up into heaven. Elijah's cloak falls to the ground as he's being carried away. Elisha picks up the cloak. "Father!" He's disappointed that his mentor is left. He's gone. Elijah's cloak falls to the ground. Elisha picks it up. He rolls it up. He smacks the Jordan River just like he saw Elijah do. He says, "Where is the God of Elijah?" The water parts just as it did for Elijah. It parts again for Elisha. So now Elisha acknowledges that the Spirit of God did not leave with Elijah, but it has been passed on to him, which is just kind of cool. Now, the prophets that are watching, they were like, "Hey, we need to go search the hills because I'm not sure I believe what I just saw right there. Let's go search the hills, see if we can find Elijah." Elisha's like, "Don't waste your time. You're not going to find him." They said, "Yeah, we're going to do it anyways." So they search for 3 days. They can't find Elijah. They come back to Jericho where Elisha is, and they're like, "We couldn't find him." And Elisha's like, "Yeah, I know. I told you not to waste your time. You're not going to find him. He's in heaven." So the end of the chapter tells about one of Elisha's first miracles. People of the town of Jericho said, "Hey, our water has been tainted. It's not pure. Some of the land has been unproductive because of this tainted water. Can you help us? Elisha says, yes, bring me a bowl of salt. So they bring him a bowl of salt. He dumps the salt into the water supply, and wouldn't you know it, it purifies the water. That's cool. So then Elisha, at the very end, he leaves Jericho and he's going to Bethel. On his way to Bethel, a mob of boys come out of the town and they begin mocking him. Here it is, verse 23. They say, "Go away, Baldy," they chanted. "Go away, Baldy." Elisha turned around and looked at them. He cursed them in the name of the Lord. Then 2 bears come out of the woods and mauled 42 of them. So here's this group of youth who are making fun of this man for having no hair on his head. I love that they call him Baldy. I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny. They're giving him a hard time. Elisha says, "No, I'm a prophet of God. You're not going to disrespect me like that." That's not cool. And then they get mauled by a bear. Like, all right, what can we learn from this chapter here? 2 Kings chapter 2. The first thing is God works in transition times. In times of transition, God is at work. For us, transition might be a new job. It might be a new relationship. It might be a move to a brand new city. Transition oftentimes is uncomfortable, but God works during those times of transition. Transition oftentimes, while it's uncomfortable, sets us up for bigger and better things. The second thing that I think I was able to learn through this passage is that Elisha asked boldly for a double portion of Elijah's spirit, a double portion of the Lord to be with him once Elijah was gone. He's not afraid to ask boldly for that. That's not arrogance, that's spiritual hunger. And he didn't want to be better than Elijah. He just wanted to be prepared, equipped with the right tools to be able to carry on the Lord's work. If you've ever received a promotion, there might be that kind of thought in the back of your head of like, oh, I really hope I don't screw this up. I really hope that I do this job well. And I gotta believe that Elisha was dealing with some of that. He's like, this is a powerful man of God, and I'm to be his successor. I just hope that I can do the job as well as him. And so he boldly asked the Lord for a double portion. And I think the lesson for us there is we need to come before God boldly and ask him for things that we need. Courage, faith, strength, whatever it is. We need to come boldly before God and ask for those things. God will always honor boldness if we're asking with the right heart. So the idea is this: times of transition in our lives will come. Leaders will rise and fall, but God's work continues. And like Elisha, we have to be ready to step into the places where God calls us. We need to act boldly and faithfully, and we need to keep our eyes fixed on him. Don't ever be afraid of what lies before you. If God calls you to it, then he's going to equip you for it. Won't he do it?